So I did my leadership interview with Jenny Dowdy. Um, she is 27 years old. She's an Asian American woman, and she is a manager at Tropical Nails here in Rome, Georgia. She Her educational background consists of graduating from Emergency High School in 2009, and then going into beauty school at Georgia Northwestern for 2 years as a nail technician. Um, Her history consists of going to or working at State Farm as a sales rep. She also worked in many different nail salons until her apprenticeship, and also as just a regular employee. And she's been in the nail business for 7 years now. She and now she's a manager at Tropical Nails. And so she is her work responsibilities consist of money management, employee hire. She oversees the nail technicians, inventory, and customer service, things like that. And upon our interview, my first question was how she would describe her leadership style. And she went on to talk about how the way she would conduct her business is that she works side by side with her employees, and she never takes them for granted. She leads them by example, and she finds a way to really just pour into their lives, like in the workplace. And so, and the reason for that was to find a way to like grow them, not only in their skill but also personally. And she tries to have like a respective workplace personal relationship. She tries to keep it very professional but also personal. And so I asked her like how did she get to this position that she's in right now. She went to school for a couple years, and then got her license. She was an apprentice for a little while before that too, and she upon that got her license. And then after getting her license, she started working and then growing her clientele. And from there, I kind of asked her like what her philosophy of leadership was, like what her philosophical background of that. And she tells me that what she's learned over the years is that there needs to be a balance between being personal and professional. She explained that by saying like she wanted to keep it personal with her employees, and try to like pour into their lives and really get to know them, but also she didn't want to be a pushover. Just because she was very friendly and buddy with a lot of her employees, it does not mean that she isn't the boss. Like she's still the leader, and whatever she says she has the final say in that. And so she had to make it a thing where like there's a personal relationship, but then when it comes to work, it's work. So it was just a really good balance with that. And she obtained this by in the interview she tells me that over the years that she's been working under other people, she's always felt that her past employers never really appreciated her. But not only that, even when they did try to be personal with her, it was always like in a negative way. It was always about what they think she's doing wrong in her life, or what they think that she needs to be doing, things like that. Like they would talk to her about her weight, her life choices, and things like that. And Jenny's a very young person, owning or being a manager at 27 years old at a nail salon was a really big deal. And so like she had a lot of knowledge for someone who was so young in that. And then that kind of led into, you know, from there, like, what her challenges were. And her challenges consisted of just being an Asian American woman, not only in a white cultured society, but also in this little world of in a nail salon where it's traditionally made up of other, you know, immigrated Vietnamese American citizens who are her employees. You know, like when she was working under she was working for her employers, they were all traditional Vietnamese Americans. You know, there was a very large language barrier working with them, but also the way they conducted their business because of their culture was just completely different. She explained to me that it was very hard having to live in that culture because traditionally Asian women are more submissive to not only their elders but to men in general, more specifically Asian men or Vietnamese men in that sense. There would be a man that would have the same title as her as a nail technician, but it's whatever he says goes in that particular setting, just because of his gender. And so for her, it was a real challenge because, you know, she lives in a society where, you know, she believes in equal rights and she believes in equality and fairness and things like that. So that was just a huge struggle for her to really have to deal with that. And on a business standpoint, you know, her clients and everyone else's clients and all the other customers in the nail salons would see this, and, you know, that never stopped people from coming, but it did question, like, the employees and the employers, and it just kind of made her look bad. So she knew whenever she was going to own her own business and be a manager, she was going to make a difference. She was going to change the way it worked. And so, you know, how did she change that? She changed that by, one, her leadership style. She obtained the leadership style of transformational leadership. I concluded that in talking to her in this interview. Excuse me. And so from there, you know, there was like the little things like staying positive, having a positive environment, and then there's also these big things like uplifting her employees and not bringing them down, always being able to be open with them, like transparent with her life, but also wanting them to be transparent with their life and what's going on at home and things like that. She's very understanding on like different subjects of like personal things that like that's happening in their lives that's affecting the work. And so from there, she kind of was able to talk about how she says like there's a lot like we got into like the practical day-to-day stuff, challenges that kind of happen in her business, and she tells me all the times like the absolutely biggest thing that happens in her shop is that there's always drama. And the reason for that is, you know, when you are in a little room or a little building filled with gossip, what did she say? She said gossip-driven women. It's unavoidable. They're going to be talking about different things, and people are going to be mad at each other for different things, whether it be really, really, really small or something really, really big. And so how she dealt with that was that she never showed favoritism, but also had them resolve the issue outside of work. And if they can't resolve it outside of work, then they can't come into work. How the nail salon works is 60% of your income that you make from working is given to you, and 40% is given to the shop. Well, if they don't work, they don't get any money, basically. And so they have and so they have to work. They have to find a way to resolve the issues outside of the workplace, and to continue just working and being professional about it, so everybody can grow and make some money. She touched up on a couple other things, but really the biggest thing I wanted to kind of emphasize was what she said at the end. I asked her what's the biggest tip that she could give us as a leader to future leaders, and what's something that she's learned in that subject, and what's something that she could pass down. And she says that her biggest thing, her two biggest thing is this, that she feels that we have an ethical responsibility as a leader to make the right decisions. She, in a business perspective, she wants you're always being watched by your employees and by your clients, and so when you make the wrong decision, the morally wrong decision, that's going to reflect back on your business. But as a leader, for her, she is looked at as somebody that is trying to grow people, and she has to keep that moral high ground, not only because it's right, but really it's because she wants the future leaders that she's growing to be able to make the same decisions whenever they are on their own. And like I said, that she leads by example. And so she says that we all have an ethical responsibility to uphold as leaders, and her next big thing is to never take people for granted. The people that she's growing right now, she doesn't want them to ever look at her and think like they're being neglected or feel neglected or anything like that. Like she's a mentor, so so it makes sense for her to feel that way, that she wants the people that she's growing to really look or be able to look to her and say that she helped me out. She was there for me. She has always been that person that I can come to and talk to about my problems, or she always had the answers to really fix what's going on with me, like with my skills and everything like that. But also she's somebody that I can talk to and be open with, and so her little tip for me really, and to all of us, is that as leaders we need to stay transparent and open, and to never take people for granted, that their time is valuable. Your time might be valuable, but so is theirs. And so investing time to be there for them in any way possible is no little thing. And so that's my leadership interview, and have a good day.